morning. My name is Fran Quigley. My pronouns are he, him, and I am serving as your worship associate for today's service, together with Nancy Olson, our Director of Congregational Life and Faith Formation, whose pronouns are she, her, and Reverend Katie, of course, our Senior Minister, whose pronouns are she, Aya, and Liz Elsmore, our Music Director, pronoun she, her, and our guest percussionist we welcome today, Karen Navarrete, pronoun she, her. We are your worship team on the chancel today. People of all ages are joyfully welcomed in service, but as always, nursery care is available if that option works best for you. We invite everyone to stay connected, so we ask you to please complete a connection card that are in the pews in person or online. The card is a great way to let us know if you would like support, if you need assistance, if you have new contact information, or if you just have an interest, comment, or question, anything you want to tell us. Please place it in the offering basket.
Thank you so much, Fran. Some of you may have noticed, if you're on our email list, that In the Know events launched this week. So the last Thursday of every month, there's going to be a single email dedicated to the events that are coming in the following month. We're doing this to replace, I'm so sorry. We're doing this to replace the program booklets and to help let people know how they can get engaged in a much more clear and concise way. You know, we'll still promote things weekly, but we recognize that sometimes it can be really hard to scroll, and you might get tired before you get to the thing that you want to engage with. So we're mixing things up a little bit. We have so many talented people here, and next Saturday, we are planning to showcase some of those talents at the variety show. I'm hoping that you'll join us at 7 p.m. on Saturday, May 9th, for a fundraiser, and invite your family and friends. Tickets are $10 a person or $25 per family. You can see Nancy Bainey today in the social hall, or you can purchase tickets at the door. After service today, we're just going to remain in place after the postlude. The board would like to have a quick Q&A session with everyone. Think like 15, 20 minutes, not too much time between you and your coffee, for an important conversation and an opportunity to ask some additional questions of the board, who I have to say, thank you, board members, for just working hard on transparency in these times. Your leadership is appreciated. I have an HVAC update. As early as Tuesday, North Mechanical will be here to rip all of the equipment out of the tower, which is on the tech bridge. There's a door, and there's a whole bunch of stuff in there, and it's going to get ripped out. And then we have to have the library emptied out by May 14th because they are going to cut a hole in the library ceiling and start installing phase 1 of the AV equipment and phase 1 of our electrical upgrades. So capital campaign improvements at work, y'all. We are hoping, we are hoping by the end of June to have the AC done. So that's extraordinary. And in the meantime, Phil Soper and John Murphy came in, and they set the kitchen up with AC so that if East Coast Migrant Head Start project, now called Grow Early Learning, if they start in June before the AC is done, it'll be safe in the kitchen. It'll also be safe for us on Sundays. So thank you for that hard work. As we continue our time together, let us acknowledge the land itself and those who've sustained it through the generations. We are upon the unceded land of the Lenape, Miamia, Kaskaskia, Shawnee, and Kickapoo people, who were pushed from their land and whose children have been stolen for generations. As we strive to be a community of justice, may we continue to find ways to make real reparations. I'd like to invite everyone who is helping with the call to worship, numbers 1 through 4, to please grab a mic and come on up. You want to hold the football, Carmelo? You get to be El Conejo. That's right. Bienvenidas americanas de Argentina.
Bolivia.
Brazil,
Colombia,
Costa Rica.
Cuba,
Cuba.
República Dominicana,
El Salvador,
Estados Unidos.
Guatemala,
Haiti,
Mexico,
Nicaragua.
Panamá.
Paraguay,
Uruguay,
Venezuela,
Belize,
Guadalupe,
Guayana.
Martinique,
Saint Barthélemy,
San Martín.
Todos somos americanos. We are all Americans. ¡Y vamos!
Y vamos.
Thank you.
Good morning. We should all be in charge. Got rhythm. Elena and Carmela are also going to tell us. Gracias. Encender el caliz hoy es. This ritual of lighting our chalice reminds us to continually renew our promise, to live into our covenant, to put love into action, and to live out this community of love and justice we aim to be. So if you would please rise in body or spirit as we share the words printed in our order of service in Spanish and English. And si están con nosotros en línea, háganos saber en el chat dónde están enciendo su cáliz. El amor, el espíritu de esta iglesia y el servicio es su ley. Vivir juntos en paz, buscar la verdad en el amor y ayudarnos unos a otros. Este es nuestro pacto. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. This is our covenant. Thank you. Thank you. Dolores Huerta. This woman is 96 years old as I speak, and is still involved in the work for farm workers' rights, farm workers' humanity, and the importance of that. And so today, and we've told this story before, we've told Dolores' story before, but it seems really important to continue to lift up the work that this woman has done. And Dolores was many things to many people over the years, and continues to be, as I said. And Dolores was a teacher, was a teacher, and her students were too hungry to listen. They were too sick to play, and they had no shoes to wear at recess. So Dolores was a detective, and she followed the kids home. She asks the moms why their kids are hungry and sick, and she asks the dads why their children don't have shoes. And the parents say that the bosses don't pay them enough money for good food or new clothes or a visit to the doctor. These parents work hard. They are picking grapes all morning. They pick grapes all afternoon. They pick grapes until the night, but they are paid too little, and shoes, they cost too much. But Dolores is also a friend, and the farm workers tell her their troubles. They don't get fresh water. They don't get bathroom breaks. Their hard work is worth more than what they are paid. Friends look out for each other, don't they? And so Dolores decides to take a stand. Because Doris is also a warrior. She walks right up to those bosses. She asks them to give the workers their rest breaks and to let them stay home when they're sick. She asks each boss to pay the workers enough money for shoes and books and medicine. They say no. The bosses say that if they give the workers more money, they will have to raise more grapes, and nobody will buy them, and they will have to raise the price of grapes. This excuse is not good enough. The kids still need food. The kids still need medicine. The kids still need shoes. But Dolores is also an organizer. She asks the people to strike. They will not work until the bosses start to listen. Instead of picking grapes, the workers stand outside the farms. They shout, they sing, they write strike, they write, yes, it can be done, on signs that they hold up high. You know that Dolores, though, she is also a storyteller. And when the bosses won't change their minds, she tells stories that show their farms, how their farms are not healthy places to work. And she tells shoppers, she tells crowds, she tells the television reporters, she tells senators and mayors and governors. Many people listen, some don't. But Dolores is a peacemaker, and she doesn't use violence to make the bosses pay attention. She grabs them with her words. She encourages the workers to use their voices too, until the bosses learn to be fair. Dolores is a mother. Changing the boss's minds takes a long time, and she misses her children. And the mothers and fathers on strike miss their kids too. While some workers argue with the bosses, others watch the children play and keep them safe. Dolores is a woman. Some people think she should quiet down and let the men do the talking. Dolores just gets louder and louder, and she asks other women to speak up too. Their voices rise up together, booming over the farms, roaring into the city, tumbling and rumbling across the country. Dolores is a fortune teller. She predicts the future. She tells the bosses that if they don't pay workers well for their hard work, the workers will stop picking the grapes and the grapes will rot. She tells the bosses that if the people here workers are mistreated, nobody will buy their grapes. All of Dolores' predictions start coming true. The farms become empty. The grapes are left on the vines. Nobody will pick them, and nobody will buy them. Remember the grape boycotts? Finally, the strikes begin to work, and the bosses tell the workers that if they come back, they can have breaks, they will raise their pay, they will get money for food and medicine and shoes for their children. The workers are happy. But you know what? Dolores isn't finished. No, Dolores is a hunter. She hunts for other bosses who need to take better care of their workers. Dolores tells them to listen or else. Dolores is a teacher. She teaches people how to work as a team. She teaches people how to take care of each other. This is Dolores Huerta, a hero not just to migrant families, but for all of us in this country and those around. Thank you, Dolores. Sí se puede.
Profetiza Pueblo Mío. Since this is a relatively new song for us, the song leaders will sing the verse and chorus first, and then you can join in.
pueblo mío, profetiza una vez más, que tu voz el eco del clamor de los pueblos en opresión. Profetiza, pueblo mío, profetiza una vez más, anunciándole a los pobres una nueva sociedad. Profeta te consagró, no hay duda, temor, en tu andar por la historia, sé fiel a tu misión. Profetiza, pueblo mío, profetiza una vez más, que tu voz el eco del amor de los pueblos en profesión. Profetiza, pueblo mío, profetiza una vez más, anunciándole a los pobres una nueva sociedad.
Please join us in taking a few moments to note that which is currently bringing joy or sorrow to our community. Our friend Sandy Ryberg has not been feeling well, and she would appreciate cards. There are cards available at the caring table in the social hall after service.
Thank you, Fran, and thank you. Thank you, song leaders. As we hold our joys and sorrows, I share with you these words, shortened for time, from You, the Vote. This week's Supreme Court 6-3 decision is a profound moral wound, not only to the people of Louisiana, but to the promise of a multiracial democracy. This decision invalidates Louisiana's 2nd congressional district and paves the way for states to dismantle Black and Latino voting districts across the country. As Unitarian Universalists, we cannot remain silent. The SCOTUS decision tells Black voters in Louisiana and voters of color across the country that the law will no longer protect their voice, or their vote. Yet across race, background, and belief, most people in the U.S. share a fundamental conviction that the people choose their leaders, not courts captured by the wealthy, and not a political movement that uses violence and hate to oppose the will of our people. In our faith, we understand that this is not only a democratic principle, but it is a moral truth. That power rooted in collective dignity, solidarity, and love will ultimately outlast the forces that seek to divide and diminish it. It was the moral courage of ordinary people who united on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, who filled the jails of Birmingham, attended organizing meetings, joined freedom schools, boycotts, and sang songs that propel our movements to this day. And in 1965, they won the Voting Rights Act, one of the most important legislative achievements of the civil rights movement. It declares that race must never be used to silence or diminish the political power of any community. Unitarian Universalists and all people of faith and conscience who believe love demands that every voice be counted and every person be protected. UUs believe that the right to vote is sacred, and to deny that right is to deny one's inherent worthiness and dignity. Side with Love and the Unitarian Universalist Association call on Congress to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. without delay. And we call on us, people of faith, to remember our power. When people organized for civil rights, they didn't have the courts on their side, nor Congress, nor public opinion, but faith showed up. It must show up again through our actions. Let's recommit ourselves to the long, faithful work of ensuring that democracy belongs to absolutely everyone. Let us hold a moment of silence. Thank you, August. May all prayers be heard and hearts be restored.
You please stand in body or spirit to sing number 305 in the gray hymnal, De Colores. And if you'll notice in your order of service, there is an added Spanish verse. So we'll sing 3 English verses and 2 Spanish verses.
All the colors, yes, the colors we see in the springtime with all of its flowers. All the colors, when the sunlight shines out through a rift in the cloud and it showers. All the colors, as a rainbow appears when a storm cloud is touched by the sun. All the colors abound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. All the colors, yes, the colors of people parading on by with their banners. All the colors, yes, the colors of pennants and streamers and plumes and bandanas. All the colors, yes, the colors of people now taking their place in the sun. All the colors abound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. All the colors, yes, the black and the white and the red and the brown and the yellow. All the colors of people who smile and shake hands and say hello. All the colors, yes, the colors of people who know that their freedom is won. All the colors abound for the whole world around and for everyone under the sun. De colores se visten los campos en la primavera. De colores son los pajaritos que vienen de afuera. De colores es el arco iris que vemos lucir. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Y por eso los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Canta el gallo con el kiri, 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 kiri. La gallina con el cara, 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 cara. Los polluelos
Thank you so much. I sometimes really struggle with hearing De Colores sung in predominantly white UU congregations. When we're considering music, as part of our work, we have to ask ourselves if we're singing something out of cultural appreciation or appropriation. So we ask the question, who is this for? Are we members of the community whose art this is? In this instance, some of us are. Another question, are we in accountable relationship with the community whose art we're engaging with? And as a congregation, we are. This song has been around for ages, but was made popular in the US in conjunction with the 1960s farm worker fight for fair wages, humane working conditions, fair treatment, and it was a call to revolution. It's a celebration of culture and unity, a declaration of joy and dignity from people who ensure that everyone is fed. Everyone is fed. Whether we ourselves are a part of the farm worker community or an ally, today I'm hoping to address a ubiquitous issue that impacts all immigrants in a subtle and strategic way. By no means is this the biggest fish we have to fry right now. But it is something structural that we should talk about and examine. It's something that makes it easier to dehumanize our immigrant kin. And I promise to circle back to farm workers, particularly our migrant and seasonal workers with whom we are in relationship with as a congregation, because we are a host site for Grow Early Learning, formerly East Coast Migrant Head Start Project. And I'm pointing to my shirt because this is a Grow Early Learning teacher shirt. How we describe something or someone can hold a moral code. It frames a story. So if you aren't pro-life, you could make the argument that someone is against life. That's not true, but it's language to create a framework for an ethical argument. Just as pro-choice makes its own argument for liberation. And with the latest war against immigrants, particularly Latino immigrants, I want to talk about something that is cultural and language-based in the US that causes harm. Help me out here. This is a participatory sport and not as hard as the New York Times crossword puzzle. If you are from Venezuela, you are? Yes. If you are from Italy, you are? If you are from Spain, you are? If you are from the US, you are? Estadounidense, Liz, gold star. Oh, it's Marianne. Okay. It was almost like a ventriloquist thing. Thank you, Marianne. Estadounidense. But a lot of people in this country would say American. So when the US was formed, colonial identities were strong. Much like our UUA and affiliated congregations, the United States people were meant to function similarly. So I'm from New York. I am a New Yorker. If you are from Florida, I see you. You are a Floridian. But Americans. Grayson Ferguson, a blogger, in their piece, I No Longer Call Myself an American, describes an encounter in Paraguay when they were called out by a Paraguayana on a date. This person, who was also American, because Ferguson was using the demonym of American as if the US has the only right to it. Now, this is hard for me to talk about because I've heard the stories of my loved ones. You know, my grandparents sacrificed to be here and were so proud that I could be born in this country and have opportunities that they sacrificed in ways I will never understand to have. They sacrificed so I could stand here and say they were always Americans. I'm sure there's like spiritual chunkless headed at my head right now, but this is important for us to talk about. April is Genocide Awareness Month. The Jewish Museum of Milwaukee shared Dr. Gregory Stanton's stages of genocide: classification, symbolism, discrimination, dehumanization, organization, polarization, preparation, persecution, extermination, and denial. We are watching these stages play out here in the United States. And I really want to focus for a moment on classification, which in many ways is the start of it all, because it separates us into us and them. And more important than that, it says some of us are better than them. In Ferguson's Medium article, he posits that it was Teddy Roosevelt who was the first to use Americans to describe U.S. citizens. Teddy Roosevelt, who is the same person that in 1904 created a corollary to the Monroe Doctrine claiming the United States had a right and responsibility to interfere in the workings of Latin America and act as a police force for the Americas. This is paternalistic, elitist, it's rooted in colonialism, and is a statement that furthered the framing for people in the Americas, not from the US, to be considered as less than. We have been given this narrative that if you're not from the United States, particularly if you're from Central or South America, you're incapable of governing yourself and need the US in order to help us be stable. But the reality is the US is constantly destabilizing countries. And so many have died because the US has backed fascist regimes, funded wars on legitimate governments, stolen resources, stolen leaders, and even tested medicines, dangerous substances, and surgeries on people. In Puerto Rico, a so-called protectorate, the US steals resources only to sell them back, leaving Puerto Rico, a formerly fully self-sustaining entity, dependent. The US forced hysterectomies on generations of women and committed other atrocities. Puerto Ricans are Americans. The method and the message shows that if you are US mainland, you are American, but those other people are not. Bad Bunny's Super Bowl performance affected me emotionally for a number of reasons. But what really got me was when at the end, he listed all Americans. And that's what we opened with for our service today. Bad Bunny declared in this powerful and symbolic way that we are all human. We are all equal. We are all Americans. He threw off the chains of a classification meant to minimize and separate and brought us together in a festival of color, rhythm, and resistance, with a promise of hope through solidarity, community connection, and the power of a name. Unitarian John Quincy Adams once said, "The whole continent of North America appears to be destined by divine providence to be peopled by one nation, speaking one language and professing one general system of religious and political principles, and accustomed to one general tenor of social usage and customs." My colleague, the Reverend Sarah Kane, reminded me of this quote recently, and Wow, this statement is about as anti-pluralistic and against our values as modern new use as you can get. And it's also a narrative that we are hearing a lot of today that further classifies immigrants into categories of others. This classification leads to becoming a building block for dehumanization through words, deeds, and additional systems that oppress. It also says that if you don't speak English as a primary language, the assumption is you are somehow less than. Well, this is one of the only countries in the world where the majority of people only speak one language. Who's winning at life? This is also a reminder, this quote, that as a religious movement, we have reparations to make. And they begin by acknowledging harm and centering the most impacted. In 2013, as a campus minister, I attended a justice action in Florida led by the Coalition of Immokalee Workers. I observed students gathered in the pouring rain. Oh, I'm so sorry. Now, Florida rain isn't like regular rain. Florida rain is like the heavens open, and then it just goes. 105 students were completely entranced by the words Emilio shared. Emilio spoke of the enslavement and human trafficking happening in the fields of Immokalee, just minutes from Florida Gulf Coast University, where we were standing. The gathered masses listened so intently that each time Emilio took a breath, you could hear the rain fall onto the field in that space of silence. Emilio said that all he and his fellow workers wanted was 1 penny more per pound of tomatoes picked. An end to enslavement and trafficking in the fields. And supports that reflected the pride and the dignity and the necessary nature of the work that was being done. I could see tears mixing with the rain, sliding down students' cheeks. Emilio is an American from Central America. His story matters. He matters. His dignity showed through the systems that sought to separate Emilio from the US-born attendees, from the non-seasonal and migrant workers. But when we remove barriers used to separate us, power is built. And something was built that day. A mí también me pasa. What happens to you happens to me. This concept is an acknowledgement of interconnectedness and a commitment to collaboration that resonated in that space. It is also inherent to the farm worker movement. You heard Dolores Huerta's story, and she's still going. She's still speaking. She's still meeting with folks. It echoes through the movement today, and I'm inviting everyone here to be a more active part of it if you're not already. The first invitation is to tear down classifications that separate us. I'm not talking about erasing identity or culture in a quest for sameness, as Adam suggested, because our difference makes us stronger. But what I'm talking about is tearing down classifications that give the impression that some people are better than others, and that's simply not true. What I'm proposing also is that we recognize where human-made elements of power and control can be replaced by something more unifying. Perhaps love, which is the center of our values. Advocating for fair wages and working conditions with organizations like the Coalition of Immokalee Workers. Noticing where they're boycotting, which businesses they recommend we boycott. Choosing to support growers who include humane working conditions. Advocating for policies that protect workers and provide pathways to citizenship for those who want it. And countering narratives of hate, even the subtle ones that seem to be everywhere. Last week, I was in DC. I promise I'm not emotional back here. This is just the bronchitis talking. Last week, I was with Grow Early Learning, formerly East Coast Migrant Head Start Project, with the National Policy Council. And we were talking about ways in which this administration continues to dehumanize Americans here in the US, working hard to make a better life. I also learned that in my conversations with folks and throughout my time there, that there seems to be more fear in the seasonal and migrant worker community here in Indiana than in other states. And I think this is where the culture of niceness is a sword that cuts deep. There's so much hope and possibility in the kindness here in the heartland, but when that kindness turns to silence and not speaking up, not blowing a whistle, when rapid response is needed to stop detainment, we create a space that's not safe for our neighbors. Our communities are becoming increasingly militarized. You may not see it, depending on where you live. You may not see it because cooperation is high here and movement can then happen quickly. I also feel like I need to tell you that DC is occupied. I lived in DC in that area during the first Trump administration, which was just a test run for what we're seeing now. When I was there the first time, we noticed increased military presence. It made national news when Guard members were forced to cover their designations and fire upon Black Lives Matter protesters. I was delivering a petition to Health and Human Services with a Quaker and another Protestant minister when Homeland Security shut the building down and they were fully armed with very large automatic weapons for essentially 3 religious leaders. And that was the test run. I saw National Guard in the metro stations. I saw special police getting on and off metro trains, had a flashlight in my face multiple times, broad daylight, hopping on and off trains. But what really got me is that you could tell who was from DC because they just kept walking. That means the window of tolerance has moved. And the people living in our nation's capital are used to this kind of state military presence. And it hasn't been that long since I left. This is a dramatic escalation. One could look at what's happening in DC and think about what you're not seeing here in Indiana and think that things are better here. But I don't want you to buy into that lie either. They're not. And we need each other. Several years ago at a General Assembly, author and activist Brian Stevenson said, "I feel the presence of the holy most keenly when in proximity with those whom humanity has disfavored." And he urged us to get proximate. Now, some of us are proximate. Some of us are holding lines in key positions that need to be held. We are giving at the office. We need a nap and for somebody to bring us some soup. We need to focus on caring for ourselves, our families, and our community. And if we're not proximate, we need to volunteer, make sandwiches, help get littles off and on buses for the preschool. They take volunteers to do that. Maybe you can give rides, check in with Mickey, deliver food to some folks who are afraid to leave the house. We may need housing for teachers because of reduced budgets. So if you have a spare room you can rent at an affordable price, please let me know. And we also need 10 more students for the school to open this year. So in the past year, we've gone from having a waiting list to people being afraid to send their children to school. Something that our Grow Early Learning site has that's really important to share in the community is a bus, which means people don't need to leave their houses if they feel like they're at risk to ensure that their children can get an education. So I invite you to spread the word on that and to identify yourself in the ecosystem that's outlined in Deepa Iyer's Social Change Now. We have some exercises out in the social hall now where you can help figure out where you fall. But just to remind you, some of those roles in the ecosystem are storyteller, disruptor, healer, builder, caregiver, frontline responder, weaver, guide, visionary, experimenter, or another role. Nancy Olson, Lynn Martin, Mary May, and I can help you find your place if you have questions. But know that you're needed for this fight for justice in the long term. We need to get to work. I know, everybody's tired. When we were centering for service today, I reminded everyone of a quote from theologian Catherine Keller, who talks about that something holy, that thing that is unnamed, as omnipotential. So not omnipotent, not all-knowing, but what Keller posits is that in process theology, all things are kind of connected to each other. And in each moment, there is the potential for infinite good, just as there is the potential for many, many other outcomes. But the invitation this morning was to be with the omnipotential, to take the breath and to move with hope and love. The narratives shaped by the past are ours to deconstruct, and together we can build a world based on love, justice, and our interconnection. And the next time you hear de colores and sing all of the colors with our banderas, our flags all flying side by side in the presence of our differences, know that you're singing of being unified in fighting for our co-liberation. A mí también me pasa. Our fates are intertwined. We need each other to survive. We can resist classification and actively dismantle systems together. Let us build a better world together. Si se puede.
This week, very appropriately, we are sharing our offering plate with Foundation for Farm Workers. Foundation for Farm Workers aligns with our UU values by supporting Grow Early Learning agricultural families. Foundation for Farm Workers supports those families as they strive to recover from financial distress, as they strive to be free from fear of family separation, and as they pursue their educational goals. Again, Foundation for Farm Workers. To contribute, you can gift cash or a check into the collection plate, or if you're online, you can go to allsoulsindy.org where you'll find a link that says donate in the top right corner. If you are paying online or if you're using a check, make sure to indicate if your gift is a pledge payment or if it is for Share the Plate. So thank you for your generosity in supporting the mission of All Souls. Thank you for your continued love for one another and for this world. The morning offering may now be given and will be gratefully received.
The stream sings into the river sings into the sea sings into the boat that carries you and me. Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, I sail in you, you sail in me. The boat we are sailing in was built by many hands, and the sea we are sailing on, it touches many sands. Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, I sail in you, you sail in me.
For our closing words, we'll be sharing the adapted words of Dolores Huerta, Prayer of the Farm Worker's Struggle, first in English. Show me the suffering of the most miserable, so I will know my people's plight. Free me to pray for others, for you are present in every person. Help me take responsibility for my own life, so that I can be free at last. Grant me the courage to serve others, for in service there is true life. Yes, we can.
Muestra el sufrimiento de los más miserables, así conoceré la difícil situación de mi pueblo. Libérame para rezar los demás, porque estás presente en cada persona. Ayúdame a asumir la responsabilidad de mi propia vida, para que pueda ser libre por fin. Concédeme coraje para servir a los demás, porque en el servicio hay verdadera vida. Sí, se puede. Sí, se puede.
Now the boat we are sailing in was built by many hands, and the sea we are sailing on, it touches many sands.
Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are So with our hopes we raise the sails to face the winds once more, and with our hearts we chart the waters never sailed before. Somos el barco, somos el mar. Yo navego en ti, tú navegas en mí. We are the boat, we are the sea. I sail in you, I sail in you, you sail in me.
Thank you so much, musicians. Please remain in place. We're going to get some microphones to the board, and we're going to have a short town hall. Let me just grab Ellen and Tom. Getting my steps in. Hi, Ellen. We're ready for you. Come on in, grab a mic. They're all up in the front row. After you. Yeah, if you want, yeah. Come on in. Want to come in, Ollie? We're just going to do the town hall in here. We'll get your mic. Okay. Look at that coordination. That's like
I know. Pink rules.
alma mater.
Good
Oh,
morning.
yep, you can cut the stream. Thank you. I'm sorry.